So now in the art room, I'm bringing some of the regular education stuff in, and it's just STEAM with a capital A for art. Through this process, I'm able to do a wide variety of activities that often involve 3D printing. So currently I'm in about my 4th year of actively using 3D printing in the classroom. I'm also really excited about project-based learning and also about cooperative learning, getting kids to be working with other kids in a classroom and getting along and working on those 21st century skills of creating and communicating and collaborating. So it's with that in mind that I bring today this presentation, which is called We Are Makers. And I'm going to walk you through some various steps of ideating towards making. If you want to be in touch with me, my email address is on the screen, my Twitter handle is up there, and my blog is at the bottom. I'm an Apple teacher and a certified Google educator. So the name of this presentation is Educating the Next Generation of Artists, Innovators. That's where the big A in STEAM comes in. And I'm going to start with a quote from my ed guru, actually my ed crush, if I were to admit it. We've got to do fewer things in school. The greatest enemy of understanding is coverage. And think about teachers, think about everything we're trying to cram in to this bucket that we call learning. The enemy is coverage. You've got to take enough time to get kids deeply involved in something so they can think about it in lots of different ways and apply it. So Ed Crush revealed, Dr. Howard Gardner from the Project Zero classroom at Harvard Graduate School of Education. I gravitated towards Gardner and his works back in the 90s when I was learning to be an elementary educator, and having had the art background, reading about his multiple intelligences just really resonated with me. They faded out for a little while, but now they're back in a big way because people are understanding that the climate we've created in education today, which is so dependent on high-stakes testing, is just damaging the way our students are learned and not really preparing them for a future that we don't even know. We don't even know what lies ahead for these kids. I was in a breakfast this morning, and the man who was speaking with us from Test Teach, which is out of London, and he was saying, and I just thought this was so spot on, kids today are probably going to work until they're 80 years old because the lifespan is getting longer and longer. And he said during that, by the time, so they will have had probably 60 years actively working, they'll probably switch careers a few times because otherwise, doesn't one get a little bored? And I thought that was really bright and really true. And so here we are trying to prepare these kids for a future that we don't even know what it's going to be, and they don't know what it's going to be, and in fact, it will change frequently. So what I've been doing is developing these project-based learning units, and I always begin with an explore phase, which is the part of the unit where students are doing research and learning about whatever the content is going to be about. The next phase is create, and then the final phase is share. And that's the process. In my opinion, these 4 types of instruction, project-based learning, STEAM programs, arts integration, and design thinking, create meaningful, authentic learning experiences for our students. Today I'm going to encourage you to get into small groups and work together as we process through these 4 thinking routines. And these routines come to us courtesy of Agency by Design, which is one of the Project Zero classroom Well, that's the umbrella, and that's one of the groups underneath. So what I love about Agency by Design is they are maker-oriented. They're focused on trying to understand how kids learn through making and the best way to teach them. So today, although it's 9 a.m., and I get that, I am thrilled that you're here. I'm thrilled that you chose my session to attend. But I'm afraid I'm going to have to, get you up and talking with each other and working together in order to make this workshop focus on work. But we only have an hour, so we're going to have to go really quickly and blast through these things. The first part will be, you're going to come up and get an object, and I'm going to have you sketch it. So we're going to do a little quick sketching. No one's being evaluated on their artwork. This is sketching for understanding, looking closely. And then I'm going to have you take it apart with your group, and I purposely bought something really simple, just simple little pencil sharpeners that easily come apart with a screwdriver. And then I'll have you sketch the parts real quick. And then from there, we're gonna walk through different ways to employ empathy in having kids ideate for making. So everybody's making and maker spaces are huge right now, particularly in the United States. People are selling all kinds of equipment that you can buy for your makers. The thing is though, what are they making? That's my question. What are they making? And so through this experience today, I'm gonna show you a great way to tap into kids' empathy to come up with some kind of a product design. So, are you ready? Do you want to just work in table groups? I don't want to limit you in any way. So if you have a buddy or somebody you made eye contact with earlier, you want to work with them, please get up and move and, create your group. I have exactly 37 of these little kits that have the pencil sharpener, the screwdriver, and what you'll need to participate today. So if one person from each group could come up and get that. And then also come get some paper, take a piece of paper and a pencil. I have that shirt, I love it.
My name is Melissa. Oh, okay. Okay.
But we don't get to work together too much. We live in the same place, but we don't get to work together.
Oh, there you go. Very nice.
Rather than play, I'd like to play, but I also want to think.
You'll get the gist of it, through that process.
Well, and super excited. Agency by Design's been tweeting us a lot lately.
Good, good. They're great people.
Teach a class called STEM Design, and it's an English class.
That's it. It's so simple. Laura's right there.
I'm right here.
I don't care, whatever. Laura's here, you go here.
Like what they can find. I am not. I have to admit, so trying this new thing, I fell in love with this called SketchNote. My kids at school would disagree. So I fell in
Alright,
love
so I'm
with
really
SketchNote.
thrilled, and I already see those pencils moving. Has everybody had a chance to introduce themselves to the people at their table? Okay. Before we begin, ding, ding, ding. Before we begin, I want to make sure you do see that we have this sharing. This is the sharing part of this, which is really exciting to me as I look back. I'll go back and reflect on this experience, as I'm sure you will, spend many hours reflecting on it. But this is the website to that Padlet. If you're not already in, this is a much easier way to get in. Tiny URL, which my 5th graders always say, tiny girl? No, tinyurl.com/We Are Makers Padlet. And once you're there, if you double click on the blue screen, you'll be able to post your images, even video, and some writing. So we're gonna get started. Does everybody have that? You can take a picture if you need to. Okay, first things first, I promised there would be sketching. This is your sketching chance. You're gonna be looking at that fantastic, really inexpensive pencil sharpener and sketching it from a few different perspectives. If you could get maybe 3 perspectives, so just to review perspective, straight on, sideways, standing up, however you want to position it, and just sketch. I'll give you about 3 minutes to get 3 quick thumbnail sketches done of the object. Boom, go.
Take it apart first.
No, we are intact. It's not apart yet.
Oh,
Overachiever.
ours is already in pieces. You give us a screwdriver and you don't know what's going to happen.
You're
If I time you for 20 seconds, can you put it back together? No, I'm just kidding.
Of course, everyone's perspective.
In the background, so you only have this much time to get it done.
Oh, I see sketching. I love sketching. Thumbnail sketches, no stress, no pressure, just fun.
We put together some STEM backpacks.
Where's Matt?
We're going to roll out this fall for our
Laura.
kids to let them take.
Where's Matt?
Somebody even brought their own notebook. I admire that.
Things like that because our kids just, I don't know.
You're just with me.
He was, but then he went somewhere else. He has my iPad.
Are you the group sketcher?
Yeah.
Oh, look at that.
Take things apart.
Sketch guys. I get it.
So,
Try to do it for me.
There's a little more paper up there. if you wanna-
different angle. I did have
I'll have a chance.
I find it interesting that only one person is drawing in the group.
Some people are not drawers.
They're scared of it. It's interesting that only like one person in the group sometimes is drawing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They'll loosen up. There'll be more sketching.
Look at Sophia making it 3D.
I mean, I don't have a pencil. I'm using this thing. Gotta use a pencil. I'm not a
You were
pencil
able to do
sketcher.
it without me setting it up. I have to set it up.
All right, this is your
Complaining over there.
30-second warning, sketchers.
Early morning drawing.
Yeah. 15 seconds to go. All right, are we ready to continue? So in class, so I love this buzz. I love that. I love you talking to each other. This is wonderful. This is just what I'm looking for. In class, with my 5th and 6th graders, I'll always say, I say Mona, you say Lisa, Mona, and they all reply Lisa, and then they're quiet. So if we need to, we will resort to that. I don't expect we'll need to, but just in case it happens, you'll know what I'm doing. Okay, so as you were sketching, the whole point of the sketching process is looking closely. So you're looking at this pencil sharpener, and keep in mind, your students would bring in a myriad of different appliances. They might bring in hair dryers. Up in that photo, you can see a flashlight. They would bring in flashlights, hair dryers, toasters, as big as you want to go with these things. They'd be sketching it from a few different perspectives, then take it apart. So I purposely chose something so simple and also inexpensive for you to take apart. But you need to think about it in a bigger way of what students might bring in from home. The whole point of this is to be looking at it and be thinking, what are its parts? What are the parts of this pencil sharpener? So you've got the little plastic casing, you've got the little blade, and then a tiny screw. What are the purposes of each of these parts? So the plastic casing is to house all the other stuff and something for you to hold in your hand. If you were holding onto the blade, you'd be cutting yourself. So that keeps you from doing that. And then the screw obviously pulls it all together. What are its complexities? Now think about this in terms of a hair dryer or an alarm clock or a small little, I don't know, like a router or something like that. What are its complexities? How is it complicated? At this point, you're beginning to involve systems thinking. And systems thinking is what's going to bring you through from examining this small appliance or whatever you brought in onto bringing it toward a new product. So think about the systems at play within this very simple pencil sharpener. If you had a flashlight, you're going to have like the electrical part, you're going to have the bulb, you're going to have the casing, you're going to have the handle, you're going to have the little thing on the front, the lens. And so all those things are interrelated in one way or another. And if they're not, think about it, it's not that great of a product. It's got this superfluous stuff going on. Okay, now is the time you've all been waiting for. Take the pencil sharpener apart and lay it out so you can see all three parts. And then sketch them. I will give you 3 minutes to do that. Sophia is student. I know you are. Oh, is this dispute discussion over here? I love it. Oh, it always ends up about that, doesn't it?
Yeah, you get to do the bar.
This is your 30-second warning. Fifteen seconds. All right, now that you've taken it apart and you've sketched the different parts, you would want to label the parts. So we're all adults, and we can pretty much figure out there's a casing, there's a blade, and there's a screw. If you're in 5th or 6th grade, you would feel free to make something up because it doesn't really matter. It's just you're going to identify it so that you can refer back to it later. So you would have labeled that. The next thing you want to do is be thinking about the parts of the system. So the system we've identified is a pencil sharpener. Think about those parts, but now you're going to bring that out from this tiny little pencil sharpener. You're going to bring it out into a bigger world and be thinking about, where is it made? I'll tell you right now, those are made in China. That's why they were so inexpensive. Where is it made? Who is making them? Who are the people who are making them? Then, once it's created, how does it get distributed? How does it get marketed? How does it go from China to San Antonio, Texas? Those are all systems about this pencil sharpener. So the next phase of this is to identify a list, like create a list of systems, just as I just did with you. And then eventually you're going to be choosing one group or one system that you want to focus on. So if you choose manufacturing, within that group, there are other systems like source mapping. Where are we getting the materials from? Who are the people involved in mining or creating those materials that we're working with? Does everybody see how the systems are all at play, even with this little dinky little pencil sharpener? Okay, so in your group now, so actually, for example, a group of students had worked with a pencil sharpener, but they had a big electric one. And they thought about who uses a pencil sharpener. And their list included scientists, archaeologists, eniologists, which I don't really know what that means, but I guess it's anybody. At the top, they had written human beings, B-E-A-N. This is for real. And I just noticed this as I was putting the slideshow together, that the way their terms were so funny. Sports teams, scientists, architects, the elderly use pencil sharpeners. Another group they identified were carpenters. And so they kind of zeroed in on carpenters, and that's what you're going to be doing. And they chose the carpenter to redesign the product for. So in your group, just 2 minutes, identify some systems or make a list of the people within one of the systems you've chosen. It's either the user, the manufacturer, the distributor, the marketing. Okay, go, 2 minutes. Making a list of users.
We could do users, we could do manufacturers,
Uses manufacturing
More of an hour and a half.
They're rallying now.
So when this is done, I have an idea.
Okay.
I have a really great idea for this.
Okay. And you know I love it. 30-second warning. Second warning.
This is good. Good stuff.
All right, again, I love the hubbub, but we're back. We're having just an hour to undertake this entire thing. So I'm going to move you quickly, and I'm sorry about that, but all the resources will be available for you to reflect back on. I just want to find out from the group, how many people are elementary educators? Okay. How many people are middle school educators? High school? Tech specialists? Okay. Tech directors? How about admin, principal, superintendent? Okay, great. And then I want to just know a little bit about subjects. Okay, so raise your hand if your primary focus is on science. Okay, technology, engineering, art, math, social studies, and English. Okay, I'll just throw it out there. PE, music. Okay, great. Design thinking, wonderful, good, okay. That's just for me, I just want to make sure I'm targeting the right areas. So you've identified your people within systems, and your next step is to consider their interaction with a product, their benefits, their challenges. So I worked with a young girl, 10-year-old, who had taken apart a flashlight. And so she identified her system as the user group. And then she pinned that down even further and decided that the users she wanted to focus on were kids in the Northeast, which is where I'm from, where we lose power, not every day, once in a while, because of the big storms, the big snowstorms that we get, they bring the wires down. So she identified with a child in the night, well, as she wakes up early in the morning and there are no lights, and she needs light, and she's insecure, and she's worried, and she's anxious. What she wanted to focus on is creating a flashlight for that user. And so some of her ideas were, so the attachments, the benefits of the product are when that bulb is working, when there are fresh batteries or working batteries in the flashlight, when she can find it in the pitch black, because, you know, that's the worst thing. You're stumbling around looking for a flashlight. Those were some of the the great things she knew about flashlights. The challenges were the opposite. When your bulb is gone, and you know it's gone or it's burned out. When your batteries are old and they don't work. And then when you can't find it. So her solution was to create a flashlight that had its own little unit. So this is what I mean. So when I say, consider the interaction with a product, benefits, challenges. I had another group, and this was pretty funny. Another group chose elderly people using pencil sharpeners and identified a great aunt who uses a pencil sharpener for her pencil to do crossword puzzles. And so the benefits of the pencil sharpener were that she always had a sharp point. The challenge is when she can't find it, because she's like low visibility, she's got, you know, eyesight challenges and mobility issues. She can't be like bending over and reaching into cabinets. So this student wanted to develop a pencil sharpener that attached to the crossword puzzle book so that the woman always knew where it was. Another thing, she always wanted to make it inexpensive because she knew the great aunt didn't have a lot of money. So with those thoughts in mind, identify your user or the person within your system, and then think about how they benefit from the product or its challenges. We're all teachers, so I think our first go-to is we think about teachers and students. Students need pencil sharpeners, right? So 2 more minutes, talk amongst yourselves, try to define a user or somebody within one of the systems that you want to make life better for. Go, 2 minutes.
I think the hardest thing
Yes, yes. Awesome, okay. All right, guys, 30-second warning. How are we doing? Okay, 15 seconds. All right, we're back. This time I want to hear from groups. I just want to know the users that you've identified with and that you want to redesign this product for. So let's see. You know what? Just one at a time, shout it out. Can we do that? Okay, start over here. Who's your user group?
Students.
Students. Any specific students?
Elementary.
Okay, great. Another group?
We have some psychological on there. So we talk about factors around
Which is a brilliant example of systems thinking. If you change one part, you have to change the other in response. Beautiful, good. Yes. Wonderful. What he's talking about is partnering upper grades with lower grades and having them work on a project like this together. And that's just a beautiful mentoring experience that's authentic. It worked beautifully. Good. Anybody else want to share who your user group is? Yes.
Yeah, we had draftsmen, and we actually ended up talking about students after it. We were talking about how if we're a draftsman, the thing that we want it to be quick, we want it to be mechanical, so we're talking about automation. But then we started talking about, well, what are the problems, because we've already created automatic pencil sharpeners, like they're already in existence. So what's the problem with automatic pencil sharpeners? And so we realized that with the noise, the fact that you have to empty it at the end of it, and then of course the grinding of the pencil in the first place.
Right.
Where you get a situation where kids will stick it in,
right,
and it'll grind right down. So it actually developed from there insofar as we wanted to change the pencil full stop. So what's the stuff that actually creates the mess that we have to empty? And then how can we improve that as well as making it a hardier pencil so that it can't be ground down as quickly?
Yeah, like a little stop gap thing.
Yeah.
I teach art. You know, I have 250 kids that go through my doors across 2 days. I got rid of all my electric sharpeners for that grinding noise reason, and maybe it's because I'm getting old, but I just couldn't handle it anymore. And I actually used really inexpensive pencil sharpeners, and I provide a little cup to collect the shavings. And at the end of classes, they neaten up the table, they dump the cup and put it back. So yeah, I'm with you. I hear you completely. Somebody from this side, who's your user group? Ooh, this is a shy side of the room. I'm coming over there next time. Got your heads up, just kidding. Okay, so the next part of this process is to think about that user. Think about ways you might make the product more effective. You might make the product more efficient, how it will work better. You might make it more ethical. So think about the fact that the ones I distributed are made in China. Think about, you know, the pay of the people in China. Think about the long work hours. Think about source mapping, how the metals and things come out of the ground a lot of times in China. And what does that do to the air and pollution? So this is the ethical part. Think about that elderly person with their crossword puzzle not being able to afford to buy new pencil sharpeners all the time. So I think we all get ethical, but I think this is a great way to introduce children to the topic and to have them use that empathy even further to develop a product. And then last but not least, being an art teacher, the aesthetic, how can we make it more beautiful? My student who was thinking about flashlights for kids in New England who lose power decided that at 10 years old, she wanted her flashlight to be multicolored, like a rainbow. She wanted it to have a furry, fuzzy coating because she hated the feeling, if you don't have power, you don't have heat. She hated the feeling of that cold, hard plastic or metal flashlight that she had to grab, you know, in the time of an emergency. So she wanted it to be fuzzy and furry and fluffy. And then, but she also wanted to include a toolkit. So the flashlight would be attached to the toolkit, which is then mounted on a wall, so she knew exactly where it went. And I know they market things like this, but I would really like to buy hers, because she has a beam. The beam of light can either be a flood, or it can come back and be just like a pinpoint light. She thought that would be really awesome. And then that also allowed her to incorporate her unicorn idea, because she's 10. And so by making that beam that can either go wide or pinpoint, she could incorporate the unicorn horn. So how perfect is that? So over on the right, you can see her diagrams of her product. So for the next, I'll give you 3 minutes. Just try to think about your product, how you're making it effective, efficient, ethical, or beautiful. Sketch something up. I'm hoping to leave time for you to upload these to that Padlet, but let's just worry about the sketching right now for 3 minutes.